was looking. I want to meet you. You already have, John. I've seen you afraid.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Frankenstein's podcast, where it's all about the monster. We're a creature feature podcast about monsters and why we love them. I'm one of your hosts, Joe Praska, and back with me this week is...
Ring, ring, it's Indrid Cold. JK, it's Khalid. What's up?
Hey! That's good. I was scared for a second.
I know, right? You're like, oh god, what's he gonna say?
Yeah, chapstick.
What are you holding, bitch? I would swear a lot more if I was Indrid Cold.
I'm sure you would. How you doing, Khalid?
I'm good. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. It's been a minute. Last episode you weren't with me, so that was a bummer. But since we've released our last episode, I feel like just like a lot has been going on. Like I was out of town for a while with a family. We went up in Minnesota. It's a Minnesota thing to go up to like the North Shore, like by Superior, but we went further up a little bit, like past like a town called Grand Marais. Super beautiful. Went on the lake. Participated in what you might call lake culture. Had a blast. You and I also went on a trip together.
We did.
Yeah, we went to visit friend of the podcast, Joel H. Brewster, West Coast Strange, up in Vancouver, Victoria.
That was awesome.
That was super fun. It was like a meeting of the minds. We had a blast.
We met. We minded. It was awesome. Shout out Victoria, very beautiful little island.
Really charming. I liked it a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked like the stereotype that Canadians are like really polite and stuff.
Yeah.
I love that like one area that's true is, I don't know if you noticed this when we're up there, but the buses apologize to you. Like the ones that are not in service, they say sorry.
I thought they said sorry.
They say sorry. You're right.
Yeah. You got lorries in London, and you got sorries in Canada.
Good. Nice. That was fine.
I'm sorry it wasn't a laborious pun.
Thanks for apologizing, Khalid. It's very Canadian of you.
I want to go back to Canada. I miss Joel already.
Yeah. Anyway, so very eventful. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Also partially same because we went on the same trip. I did not go to Grand Marais. I did get to go to Vegas over the 4th of July weekend. So that was cool. Got to see the Hoover Dam.
Nice.
Pretty legit. I also found a couple really dope records for my collection at in the arts district there. So yeah, if you're not a gambling Vegas Strip kind of person like me, check out the arts district. It's got some cool finds there.
Interesting. I dig it. What if you don't mind me asking, give me one of the albums you got.
You're not the only one with Minnesota credentials to flex. I found Purple Rain.
Ooh, that is a good one.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah, it was like $20-$25. That was awesome.
Hell yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, good. Did you find any Transformers at the Hoover Dam?
They made me sign something, so I can't say whether or not I found a Transformer. That's really all I can say right now. But also don't check out or insult my car ever.
So I didn't sign anything, and Khalid is nodding vigorously right now.
Yeah, no, there's you guys at home don't see the video, but there is a giant Transformer with a gun to my head right now.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And with that being said, Khalid,
Joe,
got a question for you.
I almost said I missed this, but I won't. Go ahead.
You do. What do moths learn at school?
What do moths learn at school?
Yeah.
That's tough. That's tough. I don't know what.
Mathematics.
Nah. That's lower tier even for you.
Well, Khalid, I got another one for you. I'm just going to give you a forewarning. This one's a little off color. Khalid, what did the Mothman have in his underwear?
Mothballs.
His mothballs. You got it.
Yeah, that one's better. You should have just come out the gate with that one. That's a good one.
I had to build up to it, and that's a segue. Khalid, what are we talking about?
Thanks for asking, Joe. This week we are talking about the 2002 horror thriller, The Mothman Prophecies, directed by Mark Pellington. And I got a synopsis from your homeboy Khalid, me, and it goes something like this. It's man versus Mothman as intrepid reporter John Klein does everything to deal with his wife's death except go to therapy. Impending danger is all but certain as supernatural beings make crank calls so convincing Bart Simpson would applaud. Are these beings good? Are they evil? Has Richard Gere ever done an X-Files? Some things may never be known.
What a monster.
They're creatures of the abstract that live off potential energy.
It's alive!
Nice. I like that. I like that. Yeah, I would like to see Richard Gere do an X-Files.
We'll get into it, but I really, the whole time I was watching, I was like, wow, him and David Duchovny should play brothers in something.
Yeah, it was good. I actually have quite a bit of background on this one. There's a lot of background for this movie, but I'll just start off by saying that this is based, you might have seen this in the credits, but it's based on a 1975 book of the same name by John Keel. And it's also based around an actual bridge collapse of the Silver Bridge in Point Pleasant, but the death toll was 46 in real life, and it happened in 1966 or 67, I believe. So that's kind of where the true quote in quotes elements come into play. But John Keel, the real John Keel, was John Klein is the one, the character. John Keel, the writer, in real life was a journalist, writer. He was a foreign radio correspondent and like a technical advisor to the Library of Congress. And he was even a special consultant to the Office of Scientific Research in the Bureau of Radiology. So he had some credentials, but then he went like full on like ufologist kind of guy, or a UFOologist. I don't know how you say that. I only read it,
Ufologist.
Ufologist makes more sense. But he wrote a lot about like UFO experiences. And I'll get into more of that as we talk, but that's just a little bit of background of like the story and where it comes from. And as we come into the movie, though, the studio tapped Pellington, as you mentioned, to do this. And when they got screenplays, he rejected a lot of screenplays that were actually literal interpretations of Keel's book, because Pellington wanted this to be more of like a psychological drama, based on like what you might, how people might like be impacted by like essentially what amounts to like UFO encounters. So he changed it up quite a bit.
Oh, yeah. I've never seen the source, so I can't speak to that. But that's
Yeah.
It feels like a very deliberate path that he took with this movie.
I think so. I feel like it's a really we'll get into it in our thoughts. So, what did you think of the movie?
I had to start it twice just because my week was like all buggy, but the first time I was trying to get into it, and like I couldn't get past like all the journalist stuff and like him buying a new house and everything like that. I was just like, oh god, this is gonna be like Spotlight, but then like a blink and you miss it monster or something. And it wasn't that, thankfully. When I came back and revisited it, I enjoyed it a lot. I think I really loved like 75% to 85% of the movie when it's all said and done. I think that the parts that really grabbed me were like the town psychosis and like seeing more and more examples of that as it unravels and stuff. That was just like a really cool way to kind of show the phenomenon as it gets like more wide reaching. Kind of feels like it just ends. Like it could have kept going or any other stuff could have happened. I mean, the bridge sequence is very like exciting and climactic, but after that it kind of fizzles for me. I think I haven't seen that much Richard Gere stuff, so I definitely see like the charisma and like why he was a leading man for like as long as he was. He definitely holds it. The Deborah Messing stuff, I'm not a fan of the actress these days, but even even that aside, it was very just like hit every dead wife trope you can. They got the memory of her where she's just on the pillow, all of that shit. But I did like that, like, a lot of it was unexpected. Like, I was genuinely shocked when, spoiler alert, the way she dies, and how it, like, only kinda has to do with the Mothman ultimately, and, like, kinda has to do with the overall plot, other than, like, kind of being a catalyst for John Klein to uh, be more inquisitive about these things. And the supernatural flourishes that they did do really were just very well executed. Like, it was just like the right amount of eerie and unexplainable without it like just going too fantastical and becoming something it's not. Yeah, a little scattered, but that's my take on it. What about you, Joe? What'd you think?
Really liked it. I actually, back when I was younger, had this movie on DVD. I was a fan. I watched this a few times, but I haven't seen it in like well over 10, 15 years since like last week when I watched it again. So it's been a while. But I still really liked it. When I was younger, the Indrid Cold like phone call sequences like really got me. They like really spooked me. I've talked about like the analog horror like freaks me out. Like anything that people are watching on screens or like phone calls, like just that gets me. I know it's a time and place thing though, but like because like now what do we got, like caller ID and cell phones? Like I'm not answering any phones. Like I don't recognize the number. You don't answer it, right? It's a different era, but it works for that, I guess. But I dug it. I think that this also falls into the category of like one of my favorite kinds of like horror, which I would say is like investigative horror, where it's like you're following somebody who's like actively trying to solve this mystery. It's almost like the idea of combining horror with a procedural. You know what I mean? Like those kinds of like those blending of genres just like really like hits the high note for me. So like I really enjoy like Richard Gere like digging into it. It has one of my favorite things, which we've talked about in this podcast before, where they like go find like the random expert on the topic, when he travels to Chicago. Like that fucking ruled. That's so cool. Like that was just like that Vincent D'Onofrio character in Sinister, right? Where it's just like, oh, you're going too deep in this, and I know all this weird trivia about it and all that. Like,
You don't want
love
no parts of
that.
this.
Yeah, love that. Love that. That was so good. Love the creepy drawings. I mean, I really enjoyed the cast too. Like, I actually just. My context for Richard Gere for so long was like somebody that my mom liked for many years, so I just never really got into his stuff. I just like was like, oh, it's an old person thing, But like I recently watched Primal Fear with Richard Gere, and also Laura Linney was in that movie too. They were in it together, and he was amazing, and she was amazing. It was a really good movie, so I was actually really excited to revisit this. Like, and I think I think you make a good point. Like he is like a solid leading man. Like he's really good in this. So. It's interesting that he's not in too much anymore. But I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't want to. But
I'd like to think it's by choice. I mean, he really occupied like that George Clooney lane of like old young until he was just old.
He's like the world's famous Buddhist. I don't know if you knew that. Like other than like the Dalai Lama. He's done interviews where he thinks that he wasn't offered as many parts because of his outspoken like support of Tibet.
Oh yeah, that does ring a bell. Actually, probably
Yeah.
did from The Simpsons, like a Simpsons reference or something.
It totally was a Simpson bit too. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's cool though.
Yeah, it is cool. Yeah, I also really liked Will Patton, the guy, like the guy at the house who like got pissed off that Richard Gere was at his door like a bunch.
That scene was
like,
so cool, and
that was such a good sequence. Yeah,
I always know him as the not racist white coach in Remember the Titans.
he's kind of a 90s that guy. Like we always talk about those that guy actors. He's like a one from the 90s. Like I think he was in he was in a bunch of things. Like I feel like he might have been in Apollo 13 or something. No, Armageddon. He was in Armageddon too.
Yeah, he's one of the drillers.
Yeah, he was like Bruce Willis's like second in command.
Yeah. We gonna drill this asteroid.
Yeah. Anyway, fun to see him show up, and he was fun in this too.
Yeah, he was really good. I loved like his character's progression and just kind of being like messed up by it. It was so sad when he dies,
Mm-hmm.
And I love like that spooky thing of like it's like impersonating you to like after your death, so it's probably like what killed you too. Um, and yeah, like for me, that first scene when he like points a gun at Richard Gere and like makes him like come into the house and stuff, and it's like you don't know what's going on, and then suddenly he's talking about like you've been here 3 nights now, and he's like,
Same
"What are you?"
time.
Yeah, he's like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm also like, "Damn, did I miss something?" Like, what's going on? It's executed so perfectly because then it's like, oh wait, you like the guy with the gun wants to call the cops? What the hell's happening? Uh, and it goes from there, and it's again like it's just all so well done in terms of like being intriguing and scary and feeling like realistic of like, oh yeah, I'm not like I don't think either of you are wrong here. That's tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he was a really good addition. I love Laura Linney in this too. I've seen her in Ozark, and I think she's great in that. I don't
Mm.
have that much experience with her in her younger days. Was she the wife in Truman Show?
That's a good question. I don't know.
I feel like she was, and I really liked her in that. If that's the case,
Yeah,
but
she was. Yep, she was.
yeah, but I don't really know her from much. So like this is a nice like welcome surprise. But the movie's full of like, oh yeah, that guy, oh yeah, that girl. Like so just a lot of actors that I grew up watching. The the guy that his like his co-reporter or whatever.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, that guy's in he's like a recurring character in Sex and the City. And I just always remember he sounded like Natasha Lyonne, but like he's
What?
just like a dude from Brooklyn. He's like, gosh, Miranda. Like that's how he talked.
Love that impression. You should do the rest of the podcast doing that.
Got this goddamn Mothman.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, I need to ask you what you thought. What do you think of the phone call stuff? So like the phone call stuff was like the stuff that stood out to me when I was a kid. Like when I thought of the Mothman prophecies for years, I was like, oh, the phone call scene, the chapstick, the what's in my shoe, and all that. And like Richard Gere freaking out, looking out windows and stuff. What'd you think of that sequence?
I think it was really good and really spooky, but also like funny that like they left like no trace of doubt that this was magic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they were just like, all right, it's been kind of ambiguous up until now. This thing is basically God as far as you're concerned.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. That was pretty good. And then like I love how they find like this tiny town just has like a voice analyzing like specialist that he
Is
finds
he from
like
that town? I thought he was just
Well,
like
he
one of
didn't
his
try- where
reporter
did-
contacts.
where did he go? Like he's like 400 miles away from his place. Like normally he'd have to like it'd be a pretty solid day trip to go to his reporter places.
I guess I never thought about it. I really was just like, it's
Yeah.
one of his reporter buddies.
But it was just like it was within one of the days where he just brings the recording, talks to the guys, like, oh, it's not human, it can't be human.
And I do
just goes
love
back.
that too. Yeah, that like they actually still had physical evidence after. Because like I feel like movies nowadays, it's like you'll go through the whole thing of recording it, and then like you play it back, and it's just like screeches or some bullshit. And this one's like, nope, you got it in 4K, whatever it is. I don't know what to tell you. And like that's even creepier. Give me
Yeah.
1 sec. I'm gonna get my cat out of here.
Speaking of screeches,
Come on, brother. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. So
I'm truly thinking about keeping all of that in.
you can. What did I do?
That was you. That was you. 100% that whole time. It
Oh.
was so funny. I'm
Yeah.
keeping it
Did
in.
you ever hear the? Oh, you don't even know. Whenever he's literally conditioned to this, but whenever I come home and like he always expects a snack, I'm just like, "Yeah, Snicky. Yes, we're a Snicky." He probably heard that right now and got a little hungry.
It's adorable. I love it.
All right, so where are we?
Oh yeah, voice recording evidence, blah blah blah.
Oh yeah, so yeah, I was just saying, I think it's just like such a cool and like just confident move to be like, nope, you did record it. It's real. What are you gonna do about it?
Yeah, it's great. So okay, so here's my thing. um, you were kind of saying like it's 80, you love 80% of it, but like after the big like bridge set piece, it kind of just ends. And I honestly like that's one thing I actually really love about it. So I'm on the other side of the coin. I feel like the Mothman Prophecies, the way that the movie makes it out to be, where it's this sort of like unknowable thing that'll drive you mad if you keep trying to figure it out, um, really touches on that like cosmic horror, right? Kind of like pulling from like old Lovecraft styles, where like the idea is like if you fully know this, you go mad. It's incomprehensible. It's above us. We are nothing to this thing, essentially, and that's hinted at with the academic who says like, "Oh, have you tried explaining yourself to a cockroach?" That line, um, which that line goes hard. I like that line.
That
Um,
line really, I was like, oh damn.
yeah, yeah, that was great,
I've
and
heard
I think that
variations of it before. It's nothing new, but like
no,
that and the whole conversation before that about like, well, yeah, they might seem like gods to us, but like if a guy was like washing a window in a skyscraper and saw an accident like 10 blocks down, that doesn't mean that he's like more psychic than you.
mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah,
was
no,
like,
I thought that.
damn.
Yeah, it was a really good. That was a really good scene, and like the conversations were really solid. But like ultimately, I think the idea that this has to end, that he has to just like cut it, like the fact that he would like answer the phone at the end, supposedly from his quote unquote wife, like would just continue him down this path to madness, and then he just has to like cut it off or continue and make that choice. Like I think that point in the movie where he chooses to not, you know, continue down this path was like a pivotal one, and I think that's really interesting. I think like us not learning more, not getting those answers, like really lends itself to that cosmic horror element.
I do like that, like the guy's basically saying that the Mothman's a dick or like whatever
Mhm.
these creatures are. Like this is just kind of entertainment for them.
They're not evil; they're just dicks. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's like I was like, that's interesting because like obviously with this movie, I got a lot of recognition to the Final Destination series.
hmm
You know what I mean? Like they definitely inhabit the same space of like premonition of death kind of is the catalyst to the adventure that you're about to go on. And like part of the problem is just like how much can you trust like these like messages from death and from like these like other things. And I think that both of these movies in their own way kind of land on, well, you know, these things are supernatural and to a degree they get some kind of sadistic joy out of it.
yeah. I was gonna say similarly, Final Destination, like death is just kind of a jerk and just like makes it really complicated and silly for no reason other than its own entertainment, I guess.
And brutal in certain
Yeah,
cases. Yeah.
like in Final Destination, they could just do a bunch of heart attacks or something, but it's like no, it's got to be brutal and weird.
Yeah, God forbid death just gives you an extra cheeseburger or two.
Right.
No, it's gotta be a log truck that just goes ape shit.
Yeah. And similarly in this movie, the Mothman's got to speak in like fucking riddles, right? Like,
uh,
something down the river or something, right?
yeah, I mean, I think part of it that like the movie didn't 100% sell me was that like they were trying to like merge the concepts of like grief and like processing that with this like supernatural prankster, I guess.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, but rewinding it back, I do love your point about like the investigative journalist being like a
Mhm.
great way to navigate these stories. It reminds me of like The Ring in that way.
Yeah.
Um,
The Ring is a great comparison. Yeah.
yeah, I would say I think like for these kinds of stories, it goes investigator then private eye for me in terms of
hmm
like a good protagonist that like you don't ask too many questions as to like why they're able to like insert themselves so neatly. Um, and yeah, like this is a really great example of it where it's I like that he's kind of losing his mind to it progressively
hmm
and like everybody in the town's kind of creepy, but super helpful.
Yeah,
You
they're all
know
kind
what
of
I mean?
nice.
Yeah, like sure, aside from that first person that like pulls a gun on him, in general, they're just like, yeah, man, I was banging my girlfriend and saw the Mothman.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's a lot of fun, the investigative piece. And I think to your point about like the examination of like grief and stuff, like I do see that getting a tad shortchanged in it, but I think like in terms of like the character that we're looking at, like yes, he in his, you could also see the grief as a motivator for him throwing himself into this work a little bit and just becoming obsessive too. Like that's another piece to it. And I think ultimately like it could have been like they could have done more with that, like that drama. But like I do think that they did do a decent amount to like really examine like what that kind of like the guilt and grief might look in with people who are experiencing these like weird supernatural things. So I appreciate the space that they were trying to give to it, I think overall.
Yeah. Uh but again, like it just kind of gets like confused when like you go for sure there's this thing involved and it's like effing with you, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not even really sure like what idea I'm trying to get across, but like it has been sitting with me in that like that scene at the end when like Laura Linney is like, "Hey man, like people die. That's just a everyday thing. Like you can't be responsible for everything, really anything. So live your life." And it's like that's fair, but like this thing like called other people as me and like heavily implied the plant was gonna like explode or something. So
Yeah.
I just feel like that's different than like your wife had a tumor.
Yeah. Yeah. I see what your point. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so like I don't know, and maybe I'm just like not being kind enough to the movie and taking it at its face, but like I was just like, I don't know, you do more in one instance, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah. It's more for sure. Um so like zooming out externally from like outside of the story itself, the actual studio Lakeshore cut like $2 million from the budget days before the shooting began because they were uncertain how general audiences would react to a high concept cryptid mystery. They didn't think this was going to be a successful movie. However, that said, that's probably led to limitations that changed sort of like the idea from this being like a straight up monster movie where there's like an in camera creature, which we do talk about and we love those kinds of movies, but rather than making it more into like a presence that's just kind of looming and we don't always really see it. And I was going to say like, it sucks that the budget was cut, but I wonder if that led to like a scrappiness with it, like that just kind of they had to be more creative with the scares and the spooky parts. And I think like it almost was more interesting and unique this way. What do you think about that?
Definitely unique. I think it's like, a lot of the stuff that we love in movies is like after the fact finding out that like the limitations are why we got it the way it did.
Right.
So I don't know that this is like as inspired as like what Spielberg was able to do with the Jaws shark, since it
Yeah,
like
yeah.
broke all the time and they had to do it that way. But I do think that it breeds innovation, and they were able to strike a novel to me tone in terms of making this like morally ambiguous but still kind of a dick, like omnipresent supernatural being uh fit into this story as well as it did.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that like uh what's the dude from Remember the Titans and Armageddon, what's his name again, Will Patton or something?
Will Patton. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that Will Patton's character like really speaks to like the kind of like tragedy of the what the creature ultimately is doing, but also kind of like really it's just like what we do to ourselves or what we put ourselves through when we can't handle something. I think that was probably the best case example of it. I don't know that like at any point I was like, oh, this thing's gonna ruin Richard Gere's life, other than like when it again was just like impersonating him and like kind of forcing his hand on a lot of instances. But it wasn't like a psychological torment, or at least like not as like psychological as like what it felt like it was doing to Will Patton's character.
Yeah, that's true. Will Patton went through the shit. Yeah.
He went through it. And so, I don't know. I mean, I think that, I guess it's like, it's just a different flavor of sinister. You know what I mean? Like, but also, I just wouldn't try that hard if I was like basically like a demon angel that predicts death. You know what I mean? Like,
Okay. Yeah.
it feels like a lot of steps. That's what I like about the death character in Final Destination. You know what I mean? Like, it's not sitting there in the middle of the night like making phone calls and like getting people on like secret three-ways or whatever. Like, it's like get in, get out. You know what I mean? Like, there's
Yeah.
marbles on the ground, and for some reason you have a wall full of like axes or something. Like, I'm gonna get to it. Like, this guy, I don't know. It there's something funny and like the banality of it all. Like, it almost feels like it's just like a bored guy.
It might be.
Yeah. And so again, like that's part of like where like the ending for me kind of loses it, where it's like, yeah, it just stopped happening in the town after that and went to the next town. And I was just like, what?
Also kind of works with your board guy theory though. Like I'm done here.
Yeah, but I don't, it's just, it's weird having like your cinematic monster just kind of be a troll.
I mean, I think there are a lot of cinematic monsters that are trolls. We literally talked about a troll on this podcast before.
Yeah, but like the fun kind of troll that like walks out of like mountains and shit, not like the kind of troll that's like, ooh, you don't know what this technology is, kind of like talking to primitives in a douchey way kind of troll.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting. I will say that. I like that. And I do like that. Like, they never really like hit you over the head with like these are probably like biblically accurate angels.
Right. I feel like there was like some small lip service to that possibility, but they didn't really spend much time on it, which was good.
Yeah, yeah. Despite the fact that like every drawing looks like an angel, we're all gonna agree it's moth-like.
That's actually true to like the mythology of the Mothman too, where it's like it's described as more avian, and they just kind of gave it a moth. Like they actually the papers and the newspapers actually gave it the name Mothman like in the '60s. This like cryptid creature, because of there was a Mothman villain in Batman comics at the time. They're like, oh, that's a cool name. Let's just use that.
Oof, man. Can you that was the time to be a writer, dude.
Yeah.
What's your hero's name? Batman? What's the villain's name? Mothman?
Exactly. Yeah.
God, you just talk about low effort.
I did want to talk about one other thing that I really kind of liked about this too, and I think like this is also like the inventiveness of like it being scrappy. Like there was a lot like I liked how like subtle the horror was in this. Like you didn't really get like jump scares too much, but there's this one scene that I never noticed as a when I was a kid or when I was watching this when I was younger. And I think I even had to like I like rewatched the scene recently to like confirm it was there. There's this part where Richard Gere is like on the phone talking near a mirror, and like his reflection is just slightly out of sync with him with like himself. Like it does things that are slightly different, and then he walks away. He slams the door shut, and if you look really carefully, you can see in the mirror there's like a scary like moth face, like a scary
Oh
like
yeah, I
UFO
remember
scary
that.
face. Yeah, that was cool. I thought that was really cool, and like there was like other like little scares like that where it's like I feel like the movie isn't really pointing you to those kinds of scares. It's just like it's like there if you like know to look for it. And I kind of appreciate. I think like there was a lot of intentional like directing and camera work going on that was really fun to see.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, obviously, like, yeah, with the budget limitations and everything like that, they went the more art house way of like revealing it and being a little bit more coy about how it interacts with our plane.
Mhm.
But I think it all narratively worked in a way that was like consistent for me.
Yeah, exactly. So before we monstered up, I did want to talk a little bit more about the real guy, John Keel, who wrote the book that this was based on. He's a weird guy. So he wrote a lot about UFO experiences. He ultimately abandoned the notion that UFO sightings and the weird things that he wrote were like specifically alien or extraterrestrial in nature. And he had this this quote that I found in an article, and he said, I abandoned the extraterrestrial hypothesis in 1967 when my own field investigations disclosed an astonishing overlap between psychic phenomena and UFOs. The objects and apparitions do not necessarily originate on another planet and may not even exist as permanent constructions of matter. It is more likely that we see what we want to see and interpret such visions according to our contemporary beliefs. So I actually feel like his quote there is a little bit more like transcendent into like kind of the way they interpreted the Mothman in this movie. He ultimately coined the term ultra terrestrials, which I actually think the guy says in the movie too, to describe the UFO occupants he believed that were like non-human. However, despite having those takes, he also said, and this is from an Entertainment Weekly article when the movie came out, he says, quote, I was called by all kinds of voices. They would give me information. They would give me prophecies that came true. It was a very scary time. And he apparently claims to have had vague advance word of the assassinations of Martin Luther King Jr., Robert Kennedy, and says they warned him of trouble ahead for Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin. So he also believes he was getting phone calls that were like premonitions of doom.
Did he have any of his local townsfolk give him high quality recordings, or
I don't know. I don't think he did.
kind of
He did
take his word for it kind of a thing?
He did also receive a lot of criticism from people that he worked with who considered his findings inconsistent with reality. They apparently said, based on like if we review the interviews, they're not the same as what he writes in his published books. And he also had been known to write fiction under a pseudonym, and he was known to dabble in absurdism. So there's an element that people are like, was he just being a goofy weirdo all the time?
I mean, why
I don't
not
know.
both?
It's probably both. Yeah.
You know, he can't help that he's a goof.
Right. Yeah.
From one goof to another, like we can't turn it off.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. Shall we monster?
Let's monster.
Let's monster. All right.
Let's monster.
I got a lot of cool stuff about this one, and it's not all about the movie specifically. It's just like this is kind of our first like cryptid, which like a cryptozoological creature, for anyone who might not know, Khalid, excuse me, is a creature whose existence is suggested but not proven. Think Bigfoot, Yeti, Loch Ness Monster, those kinds of things. So the Mothman is one of those. Originating out of Point Pleasant, West Virginia from 1966 and 1967. The original sightings, as I mentioned before, have it as having more avian features. So the first time this creature was described in the public was a newspaper from the Point Pleasant Register, an article from the Point Pleasant Register from November 16th, 1966, called Couples See Man-Sized Bird ... creature ... something. And I can actually link the article because I found it. The article itself is a trip. The witnesses say what they describe they see as, quote, being about 6 or 7 feet tall, having a wingspan of 10 feet and red eyes. And over the next couple days, more people reported similar sightings after the newspapers discovered it or covered it. 2 volunteer firemen described it as a, quote, large bird with red eyes. That being said, a sheriff in the area believed the sightings were due to an unusually large heron. And there is a biologist by the name of Robert L. Smith at West Virginia University thought the descriptions and the sightings fit something called the sandhill crane, which is a large crane that's almost as tall as a person, which could also have a 7-foot wingspan and actually has reddish coloring around its eyes. And so the biologists kind of said that it's very probable that this bird may have wandered out of its migration route and therefore was not familiar in the region because it's not generally native to that area. So that's kind of a little bit of background about the Mothman initially. I'm going to pause there for some reaction, Khalid. Thank you.
No,
yeah.
I actually have thoughts. What year was this?
66.
Yeah. They were still putting lead in gas and in paint. There was lead
Mhm.
in everything. I don't know what to tell you. Birds are. It's probably birds because, as we all know now, birds used to be dinosaurs.
Mhm.
So there's definitely going to be a species or two that makes that connection way more obvious than others. And if you're huffing lead line gas 24/7 in your like hatchback or whatever the fuck, like, yeah, a dinosaur bird's probably going to look a lot like the Mothman.
Yeah, and I actually, if you look up sandhill crane, like the reddish like coloring around the eyes, like is actually pretty striking.
Yeah, I've ingested no lead as far as I can tell, and I would probably also think that was a demon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So after that year in 67, December 15th, 1967 was when the actual Silver Bridge collapsed. 46 people died. This gave rise to the legend that it connected to the Mothman. Um, the Mothman was then introduced to the wider audience in like America by a dude named Gray Barker, who was kind of a famous UFO writer guy. He was actually one of the ones who introduced the notion of Men in Black into the UFO like zeitgeist. Then in 1970, it was when the Mothman was later popularized by John Keel. In 1970 was Gray Barker wrote about it. 1975 was when John Keel wrote the Mothman Prophecies, which he linked the sightings to the collapse of the Silver Bridge. Further,
And was he saying that the Mothman was doing like it does in the movie?
I think he's trying to say it prophesized somehow. Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's
Sorry,
like
I cut
that's a
you off.
consistent. No, you're good. No, you're good. I was just saying like there's other like instances later on like where this becomes more solidified as like a cryptid, whereas like other places are seeing it, other people report it. There's like a newspaper in like Russia, like or Georgia, I think over there, where Russian ufologists, as we might say, claim that the Mothman sightings in Moscow foreshadowed the 1999 Russian apartment bombings. There was a photo published in 2016 that somebody said they took of the Mothman. However, a science writer believes it's most likely a large bird carrying a snake. Um, and there's also been like lots of other sightings, quote unquote, and writings about it. There's been like a bunch that were in Chicago at one point. So it's kind of just like it's like a legend. It's like a Bigfoot kind of thing where people are like, I've seen it or I know it's real. Like that's kind of the idea behind like the cryptozoology world. And so that's where that's a very brief overview of the history of the Mothman, I would say.
I'm just imagining some like Chicago Bears fan just like over by Lake Michigan, like, oh yeah, I was having him a lort. He's right there. Big fucker.
I do want that movie now. So the other piece to this, though, is the name Indrid Cold. Indrid Cold is not just something that was made up for the movie either. That is based in like cryptozoology as well. Indrid Cold, which has also been known is a character. I guess you could say character might be, I don't know if that's the right terminology, but is also known as the Grinning Man or Smiling Man in like he's like a legendary humanoid being, came from like 20th century folklore, and he was in a lot of fiction. Cold, this Indrid Cold, was initially named by a West Virginia, the word is contactee, somebody who claims they were abducted by aliens, by the name of Woodrow Derenberger. At a press conference in 1966, he claimed that Indrid Cold was a male humanoid of extraterrestrial origin. And in later years, Derenberger claimed to have taken multiple trips to Cold's home planet called Lanulos. Anyway, John Keel took note of the Indrid Cold story and popularized it in one of his other books called Strange Creatures from Time and Space, and also revisited the Indrid Cold character in his Mothman books. So that's where that connection comes from.
Oh, I'll
Yeah.
be honest. I heard it and I was just like, sounds like one of those like alt hippie girls from college that would like get stick and poke tattoos.
Like
Yeah,
Ingrid
it's like,
Michaelson or something. Yeah.
yeah, like, oh yeah, there goes Indrid Cold. Yeah,
Yeah.
just getting a pilsner. I don't know.
What, a Pilsner? Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I was just thinking back to college.
So the Mothman actually has become a big source of tourism for Point Pleasant, the actual town. I don't know if you saw this, but there is a Mothman festival that they have every year now, and they estimate like 10 to 12,000 people come to it. They got like a 12-foot tall metallic statue of a Mothman created by an artist, which came out in 2003, right after the movie. And they also have the Mothman Museum and Research Center that opened in 2005. So it's like a huge tourist thing in that town now.
And this is all based off of the success of the movie?
The success of the movie, I think, really catapulted like the tourist industry, but I think that they had the Mothman Festival for a while already. But the statue came out in 2003 and the museum in 2005. So the movie was 2002. So yeah, based on the movie.
That's funny. All
I
right.
kind of want to go.
All right. It'd just be like finding out there was like a town that's just had like a butterfly effect festival every year since the movie came out. Like, yeah,
The Ashton
I
Kutcher movie?
remember. I remember the movie. I just didn't think it made that much of an imprint on people. Someone built a statue for it. What is it, Ashton Kutcher? I don't.
I do hope that's true.
No, that is cool. Although I do kind of like that. Like this movie and Butterfly Effect kind of fall under like the same like trailer park horror kind of world for me. I always love it when it's like a working class town that's like dealing with the sci-fi stuff.
Yeah, I dig that. Yeah, this is really fun.
Yeah, I mean, no disrespect to Ari Aster, but like, there's only so many upper middle class families I can see go through hell. You know?
Yeah. He's gonna keep doing it.
Give me somebody that like believably eats Captain Crunch for dinner.
Yeah. So anyway, in the actual movie, the voice of Indrid Cold, they did a really cool thing. So it was actually the voice was Mark Pellington himself, the director.
Oh.
And he overlaid his voice with that of like many other characters or the actors in the movie, so it sounds like an amalgamation of like a bunch of the characters from the movie like talking that had been impersonated by Indrid Cold at one point. So that's kind of a cool idea. We also the Mothman in the movie, the face appears 6 times. The first time is when he flies into Richard Gere's wife's face. The second is in the scene when he's talking to the woman who saw the Mothman through the window. The third is when the young couple describes the incident at the factory site. The fourth is the beginning of the zoom out from the Mary's photographed after John smashes the phone. The Mothman appears in her eye. The fifth is when he's seen in the mirror in that door I told you about where he slams the door shut. And the sixth is when the cable slams into a car windshield. We see his face as well. There, we don't actually really see like the Mothman like in full like profile or anything, but there is a guy, Bill Lang, I think it's pronounced, is actually credited as Indrid Cold as like a stand-in. So and I was trying to verify this fact. I found it on Wikipedia. There's a scene where we actually do see the Indrid Cold in a vision. And apparently he was in the shot, the actor, but it was blurred vision and it was not CGI. I couldn't find any verification for that, but that was in the IMDb trivia. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Yeah, so there is an actor that was credited, and I gotta wonder if maybe if the movie had its budget, they were gonna, get him in like a monster suit or something.
Would you have wanted to see that version, like a big budget Mothman movie, and it's like basically just like a monster that comes out of like closets and shit?
I don't know. I think I like what we got.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, I think I do. I love monster movies, and that's why we have this podcast. But I think that this is just such like a unique like take on what this movie could have been.
Yeah.
And the way that they went with it, like I really appreciate I like the subtleties of it, like the low key element, like the slow going like plot progression, and like just like descent into madness kind of thing. Like I really like that, and I feel like there are parts where you can almost question like, is this really happening, or are they going crazy? Like, before it's like pretty confirmed. But yeah, I like this. What about you?
Same. Yeah. I mean, it just really felt like we were firmly in Richard Gere's POV, and like he never really, and I guess I probably feel like a little bit of like the disappointment he felt near the end of the movie of like, damn, I'm probably never gonna get closure on any of this. Like, that's just kind of what it feels like, and it's like unsatisfying, but also probably for the best. Like,
yeah. Circling back just a few seconds there, Khalid. Speaking of being firmly in Richard Gere's POV,
wow.
Would you fight or flirt with Indrid Cold?
So yeah, it's been a while. So if you haven't heard this podcast before, Fight or Flirt is a segment where it sounds exactly like what it is. Would I fight or flirt with the monster we've been talking about? So he's kind of I mean, Indrid Cold is kind of a scamp. I've made that known. He loves the prank calls and stuff like that. I'm also a self-professed goof, so I get it to a degree. But I don't know. The older I get, the less I'm like the less travel bug I have. You know what I mean? And it sounds like he kind of does this like town to town, and I doubt he's flying first class. So I'm probably going to be doing a lot of like coach flights, and it's like you got to go to like Ecuador, and then you got to go to Australia. It's like, especially if I know every place that we're going to visit is going to have like a bunch of people die. That's a drag. You know what I mean? Like he's never just like haunting a resort for fun. So I would probably do like the guy that Richard Gere gets all the exposition from, and just like consciously uncouple myself from Indrid Cold after like a week or two of just like, all right, it's not that I don't see a future here, it's just that you see too much of a future. If you know what I mean? Like it's throwing my commitment phobia all the way up, and I don't like that you have that much more information than me on where we're headed. I'd like to think this is a partnership. So yeah, I guess I just by virtue of that, I don't know, how do you fight this thing though? Like that's the other part of it. Like at no point does anyone go like get a gun and like aim it at moths. So I guess I would fight it, but like I only mean just that I wouldn't flirt with it.
How would you handle the phone calls?
D&D, man. Like, block their number. Once he gets like his text messages turning into green bubbles, he'll get the hint.
Green bubbles. All right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I've ghosted people before. I'm not proud of it, but like I could ghost a Mothman.
That's right. I mean, I guess that's what Richard Gere does, right? He just leaves the phone on the table.
Answering the phone already gives me anxiety. I'll just like never answer it.
Boom. I figured. There we go. Yeah.
So I guess fight it by not flirting with it.
I was really wondering, like you're like, how do we fight it? I'm like, I don't know. We're asking you, Khalid.
Well, I mean, technically not flirting with it is fighting it, because like the whole thing is that like this thing just loves an audience.
Do you think it gets pissed off when people like decouple with it, like this, like the academic and then Richard Gere, or do you think it's just like, whatever, I'm moving on?
I think it's that. It's like chat roulette or whatever. Like he's just like somewhere getting hammered on like White Claws, and just like the video changes to like another person, and he like just either has a conversation with them or shows them his balls. You know, like
yeah,
it's literally it's literally the same mentality. Like I don't think it
You mean his mothballs?
His mothballs, yes.
I had to bring that back.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I think you're right. I think like he just throws out the feelers and like sees who picks it up, and like and then decides to fuck with whoever that is, and then they're done. He's like, all right, moving on.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's just a kid. It's just a kid with a magnifying glass staring over an anthill. I don't think he takes any of the ant's reactions personally.
Have you tried explaining yourself to an ant, Khalid?
I have, and it was a lot easier than the movie made it sound.
Shall we? All right. Good. I don't know. Good movie. I think it's a good movie. I liked it. Yeah.
I said I like 80% of it. That's like a B.
That's a pretty good movie. Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah.
This was fun. This was fun.
Yeah.
I'm glad we did this one. This was kind of like one in my back pocket, like, oh, we should do it. But it was actually me watching Primal Fear that I just mentioned with Richard Gere and Laura Linney recently. Like, I think I found it like on Pluto TV, and I was like, no, I gotta watch the whole thing now. But like, I was like, oh, those guys are great, and I was like, oh, they're in the Mothman Prophecies together. Let's do that in the pod. So I'm glad we did it.
Me too. It was good. Nice
Yeah.
one back after a couple weeks too.
Yeah. Shall we move on to our final segment of the show?
Let's do it.
Our What the Fandom segment, in which we share a couple things that we are just into at the moment, may or may not have anything to do with monsters or the Mothman in question. Khalid, what the fandom with you?
Thanks for asking, Joe. I, for the first time in a while, despite the way you would always mention it, have multiple What the Fandoms, 2 to be exact.
All right.
So the first one, I texted you about it the other day, but season 2 of Foundation finally got around to watching it on Apple TV Plus. It stars Jared Harris and Lee Pace, and it's based off of the series by Isaac Asimov. Man, season 2 really just any kind of reservations or trepidation I had about season 1, like season 2 really just like tightens things up. I was getting like echoes of Star Trek Discovery, Game of Thrones, and like none of it felt like forced. And it's that Apple budget, so it's like it's a lot of spectacle. And yeah, the series is about like a super distant future, think like Dune style. Everybody still kind of like does things like they did in the past on Earth, so it's like Lee Pace's character is like an emperor, but he's basically like Julius Caesar style. And then Jared Harris runs like this like separatist movement called Foundation, which is like the title of the series, and it's all about like all of the characters that intersect with it, but it spans centuries even within its story, and it's like dealing a lot with like how people like basically try to gain immortality and like who deserves it or what are you supposed to do with it. That's a reoccurring thing. But man, it's everything that we love about sci-fi, just like executed at a pitch perfect pace. So I really, really recommend that if you were thinking about starting the show but worried that it wouldn't be like worth the investment. Season 1 does a good job of like, obviously after like the growing pains of the first few episodes when you're trying to figure everything out and who all the people are, it really does a good job of like keeping up momentum, and season 2 just pays that off so well, and it's got me really excited for season 3. So season 2 of Foundation, that's my What the Fandom for that. And then my second What the Fandom is the album Humble as the Sun by Bob Villain. And if that name sounds maybe familiar to you, Joe, or anybody listening to this, this band has been making headlines because they were in the Glastonbury festival in the UK alongside Kneecap, who I've also had a What the Fandom about on this pod. But they are very much anti-Zionist, like political musicians, and they got up and did a whole chant is death to the IDF, and like they got everybody to like chant it, and it's like a very controversial thing to say, but like they made a lot of headlines, and then obviously there was a reaction of like a lot of venues stopped playing them and stuff. But it's the Streisand effect. When you make a concerted effort to get a bunch of people not to look at something, everybody wants to look at it. So now they're the top of the charts and they're just killing it. And obviously I'm not immune to zeitgeist stuff, especially when it relates to things that I'm interested in already. So I listen to their music, and honestly, like it would be just enough that they are using their platform to oppose something that is so just objectively awful. But they're also really good, dude. It's like a British rapper duo, and it's like a 6-song album, and it really flows really well. And he's got like a bunch of really cool like hooks. Like he's got a song where he's talking about like his brother, and he's like he's got this line where he's like, "If my brother shot the sheriff, then you know I shot the deputy," and it's just like just cool, fun little like plays of wordplay like that. So yeah, just if you're looking for something new that's just like fun, aggressive, it weirdly reminds me of like gym class heroes to an extent.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Not in any sonic way, like you're not gonna listen to it and be like, oh yeah, this is gym class heroes, but like just that same kind of like fun energy of like a lead rapper vocalist in a band kind of thing. So yeah, Bob Villain, spelled like Dylan with a V. Check that out. Humble as the Sun, great album. And those are my What the Fandoms. And Joe, what the fandom with you?
Thanks for asking. Those were good recs. I actually read the Asimov Foundation books a while ago, so I was curious. I'm kind of curious about the show, but I haven't bit the bullet on that one and actually checked it out. They looked like
Bite it, Joe.
significant. I will probably bite it. They look significantly more grandiose. Like the books are like very math. Like it's about like I believe Jared Harris plays the character who like calculates the math about everything and like how society should work, but like
They call it psychohistory. You can predict the future with math.
Yeah, that's in the book. It's like, but the book gets really into like the math and stuff. So it's interesting. It's a little bit of a slower read sometimes, but it's really good. So I'm curious about the show. Are there like, I feel like I saw the trailer and there was like aliens and like creatures in it though. Is that true?
Alien animals. There's also like some robotics and stuff. It's very a la Dune. You know what I mean? Where it's still very.
Okay.
It's like humans are the intergalactic species. It's just tens of thousands of years later. So like some other weird shit also exists.
That makes more sense. I was gonna say because in the books it's very. I don't think there are aliens. I don't think there are aliens in the books. But yeah, okay. Just like on the planets, there's like the flora and fauna and like the creatures.
Yeah,
right?
and then it's like okay. Humans that are augmented one way or another.
That makes sense. Okay, cool. I'll probably watch. I mean, I love sci-fi shit, so I'll watch it.
It's so far up your alley. It's right off of Joe Street.
It's right off of Joe Street.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So my my fandom, I have two that I'll recommend this time. So the first is a book that I just finished last night called The Hollows by Daniel Church. I started this in the airport on our trip heading to Vancouver to visit Joel. For some reason, I don't know why. It's like a cozy thing for me to like start a horror book like when I'm traveling. I don't know why, but like I really dug it. It really scratched the itch of like the kind of horror I like. It's like small rural town in England. That's very snowy. They don't really have any contact with like the neighboring towns when it gets snowed out. And like during this like massive snowstorm, monsters basically start appearing in like people's windows and just like destroy like homes and farmsteads, and they have to figure out what's going on. And it relates back to like a real like ancient curses and like ancient kind of like old gods and horrors that are in the area, mythologies, various religions, pagan deities, and it gets into some really like interesting lore and mythology along the way. But within it, like we also have some like unique like small town drama, like a family that just doesn't quite fit in with the rest of the town that are kind of villains, but there's parts of the family that don't want to fit in that way. There's the small town sheriff, but it's all like also super British, because it's in like a small English town. But like it was very spooky. I feel like there were times when I was reading at night and I guess like I was just kept like turning the pages, like I want to know what happens next, but then I like put it down and I'm just like my eyes are open and like about to go to bed. I'm like, that was very spooky. Kind of like I come down a little bit before I go to sleep here. I'm gonna have some weird nightmares, but very good, very engaging. I read it in like couple weeks, I think maybe less than that. Like I also read it while we were up north in our like cabin that we stayed in. That was also very cozy to read like some like rural horror type stuff, but I really liked it. Highly recommend it. I actually recommended it on our I think our Blue Sky account in the podcast, and Daniel Church responded and like it was like a thanks for reading kind of thing. He's a was an indie publisher, I think, so he's got another book out too, so like that was really nice to get a little interaction there. So definitely recommend checking that one out. It's called The Hollows. The second recommendation I have, I wanted to just shout out. So Nicole and I, wife of the podcast, we went for the first time, I think, since pre-2020 to a concert, live music. We saw Incubus, which is like one of our favorite bands since we were like real young and like early dating. We were both like big fans, and so Incubus is doing a tour more based on their Morning View album, which is probably one of our favorite, I'd say both of our favorite albums of theirs, of their like discography. And they recently re-recorded the entire album and re-released it. And so like the tour, they play the whole album with some flourishes. Like they do like some random covers in the middle. Like they did a cover of like Rihanna's Umbrella and Phil Collins like Calling in the Night, like randomly, like in between songs, which is super fun. But then they played a bunch of the other like hits, but like it was so cool. It was like an outdoor amphitheater here in Minnesota. Like the light show like they did was just like super exciting and like energetic. The band, like they're almost like the singer Brandon Boyd, he's like 49 years old, so he's like older now, like, but the energy was there, and like he was just like singing his heart out. It was great. It was just really fun and a fun, like exciting show. So like lately I've been listening to a lot of Incubus. I think the re-release of Morning View is really cool. They have a new album that's supposed to drop this year, which I think would be their 9th studio album. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm hoping that's going to come out soon. They said they're just kind of finalizing artwork, I guess, but we will see. So I am just wanted to give a shout out to Incubus. It's kind of a band that I've always loved, always been in the back pocket. I come back to like, it's like comfort food a little bit for me. So those are my 2 fandoms this week.
Heck yeah, dude. Listeners, if you're as shocked as I am to find out that Joe is a diehard Incubus fan, that's not your fault. I've known this man for well over a decade now, and I don't think he's mentioned it once for as much as he's gushing right now. But
they're great. They're like, so like they're like a rock, like progressive rock, like funk band. They got like a DJ in the band who's been with them for like ever, who like does the turntables. It's super cool.
I've only ever seen you get this excited about Star Trek, so this is crazy to me that like you've
There
been
you
able
go.
to compartmentalize this so well. It's like, wow, maybe you're Batman too. But no, those are great recommendations. It sounds like it was a great time.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for those recommendations. Also, check out my stuff if y'all are looking for new things to geek out about. And thank you all at home and wherever you listen to the podcast for checking out.
Want to give us a Patreon shout out before you go too?
Yes, I'll also do that. So yeah, we have a Patreon. If you don't know about it yet, you can go ahead and be a Friendenstein over there.
Steam, Khalid.
A Friendenstein. And patrons, there's tiers, so donate what you can, but if you do the $7 tier, you can be a producer, which is very helpful to us. We use any of the funds from that to kind of make this production better for you all listening, and then we also will periodically drop some Franken bits in the Patreon, so more of a reason to contribute, so you get more of the goodies, because as much as we love talking about creature features, we got other stuff we like talking about too. Go check it out. It's fun. And thank you to all of our patrons that regularly donate. It means the world. Joe got an awesome mic already from it, so it's helping. And yeah, as I was saying prematurely, thank you all for listening wherever you do listen. This is a fun discussion, Joe. Thanks for bringing Mothman Prophecies to me. And yeah, until next time, y'all, creep it easy.